Good evening, everyone. This is the September 22nd, 2021 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. This meeting is being conducted in a hybrid fashion, meaning that some people will be joining us remotely, while we also have people in the audience here tonight. So it appears Megan Langley is here. Megan, would you join us, please? Just indicate that you're here.
I'm here.
Okay. Currently, members that are not present this evening are Allison Holmes, and also Tom Fallon is not here. We have Caleb Moody, who's the town's building commissioner, participating. So before we get started, this meeting is being called to order. It's being conducted both in person and remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's Executive Order of March 12, 2020, which was extended on June 16 of 2021. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, you can call 1-408-650-3123 and enter access code 942-845-549. Or you can join via computer at gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. The remote access information has been posted on the town's website, which identifies how the public can join. And please note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. So for those members of the commission, employees and members of the public who are participating remotely, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. All supporting materials for tonight's meeting, here's Tom, have been provided to members of this body and are available on the town's website, and the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. So there are some ground rules for the meeting, which I will briefly go over. So I, as chairman, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of our members and asking if any have any questions or comments regarding this matter. And then after we get commentary from other commissioners, if there is any comment from the public or from the applicant, I will yield the floor to you. I would ask you, if you do want to speak, to state your name and also identify yourself by your address. And if you want to have a discussion, any questions should be directed towards me. You should not talk to each other. And then finally, if we do any voting this evening, it will be conducted by roll call vote. So having said that, the first item on tonight's agenda was the 7 p.m. public hearing, Michelle Height, for a notice of intent to construct an in-ground pool, patio, and retaining wall at 12 Newton Street in Auburn. Now, members, is anyone here for the Heights? Okay, please come up.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I'm also here.
Mr. Morrow?
Matt Morrow for the Heights.
All right.
Participating remotely.
Okay. So, hello, Mr. Height. How are you?
Good news.
Good. So, Mr. Height, I think you are aware, you were told that the town had decided to hire a consultant in connection with the installation of your pool.
Okay.
We'd gotten a plan, and frankly, I reviewed the plan, and I thought there were certain discrepancies in the plan in terms of the measurements. So we thought there have been complaints from your neighbors and other abutters of flooding in the area, and so based on those concerns, we thought it was prudent to hire a consultant. We actually intend to hire that consultant this evening. Okay. And so for that reason, we thought it made the most sense to continue this matter until our October 13th meeting. So I understand, sir, perhaps your frustration at the length of time that it's taking. I will say this: when we went out to the property, clearly someone had started to dig a hole for the pool.
Yes, based on our permit
Right.
that was issued, we had started because we had to lower the septic, and
Right.
that's why that was like that.
The problem with the permit is that, as part of that permitting process, and I cannot account for why that permit was issued, because the stream, as you know, is right behind your property line.
Right, we were aware of that and made the pool company aware of that, and the pool itself was outside the 25 feet. And so I think that's why he thought everything was going to be fine. The pool was 28 feet away. There is a revised set of plans that got turned in last week, I think on Wednesday,
You did see that.
because there was the discrepancy in the measurements.
It also, right, and it also appeared that it's, because with those revised plans, you're actually going to change the direction of the pool, so it's actually going to run parallel with the back of your
No.
house. It's not?
No, the direction of the pool is staying exactly the same. If need be, we were gonna shift the pool, we'd move the pool a foot, because the only thing that was gonna
Mr. Morrow?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
At 7:15.
Can you-
I just had to get it. I know.
Mr. Morrow, can you mute your line?
Thank you again for your time, Blaine Kowalski, on the Mullen. As you know, thank you for respecting the play.
All right, so anyway,
Yeah, the pool is staying in the same direction. Our very initial plan was gonna have a patio much larger than it was behind the pool. Once we realized that that was gonna be an issue, the manufacturer of the pool says it's gotta be 4 feet, which with the pool being 28 feet would put the edge of the patio 1 foot over the 25-foot mark.
that's right.
And then the fence itself was gonna be on the existing grass line, which was 11. I know one of the plans he submitted, he had everything, his draftsman had it all messed up.
So-
So we fixed that.
All right, I understand. We have a strict 25-foot no-build zone.
Okay.
And so, you know, we do allow variances depending on a case-by-case basis.
Yep.
So, and perhaps maybe Mr. Morrow will address that tonight. But nevertheless, we did send it out for our consultant to review.
Okay.
And I have no idea what Mr. Walsh at Graves Engineering is going to say. I haven't talked to him about this.
Okay.
He has all the information, including any revised plans that have been submitted. But again, based on, I think the sentiment of our commission and also your neighbors, we felt it was prudent to have the project reviewed.
Okay.
So, you know, again, we know you want to get forward going on this. I think perhaps if communication with, between the pool company and the town had been handled maybe in a different manner.
I couldn't agree more. They knew ahead of time. They knew exactly what we were up against, and he did nothing.
And I will also tell you, sir, that this is not the first time that a pool company has gone ahead, you know, great guns to install a pool, only to realize later that, oh, well, you know.
Yeah, oops.
Oops, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
No, I warned him of what was coming, because there had been comments about that area. And he was like, oh, no, we got it, we're all set. So, but I mean, honestly, if moving the pool 1 foot closer to the house to bring the concrete at that line, if that's the only issue, I have absolutely no problem.
okay, well,
And we've been saying that, unfortunately, since the beginning, but it's never been transmitted to you guys.
okay. All right. Mr. Morrow, do you have anything else to add?
Mr. Chairman, I did add an alternatives analysis to the narrative.
Okay.
It is a small alternatives analysis because, I mean, the project scope is comparatively speaking, probably other projects you have, is a small project. If you wish to have Mr. Walsh do a review, I am familiar with Graves and Mr. Walsh's work. I've worked with them in the past on other reviews, so I can take care of that.
Well, we've already taken care of it, sir. So I suspect that if Mr. Walsh has any questions, he will be in touch with you.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So, Mr. Height, we have your permission to continue this matter to October 13th?
Yep.
Caleb, would that be at 7 p.m.? Okay. So is there a motion to continue the public hearing for 12 Newton Street to October 13 at 7 p.m.?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. 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 Okay, all right, so vote. Mr. Height?
Will we be notified when Graves is showing up, or?
Well, I think the plan or the hope is that that meeting is about 3 weeks from now. I suspect that Mr. Walsh will have his review completed by that time, and so
Okay.
I'm sure we will get in touch with you, or we will have the results by the time of the next meeting.
All right, I was just curious when he was going to be there. I wanted to be there.
Sure,
Someone,
right, exactly, and we can make arrangements for him. I'm
Okay.
sure if he knocks on your door, but you'll find out.
okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome, sir. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the 705 public hearing, Sean Griffin, the notice of intent for a two-family home at 17 Willow Street in Auburn. It is my understanding, again, this is an application that is going to be reviewed by our peer reviewer. And so the applicant was notified and he agreed that the matter would be continued to October 13. So can I have a motion to continue the public hearing for 17 Willow Street to 10:13 at 7:05 PM?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, it's a vote. And moving right along. The next item on our agenda is 710 public hearing, Patrick McCarty, a notice of intent to demolish an existing foundation, drainage, paved areas, and construct a 6,000 square foot building with parking at 5 St. Mark Street in Auburn. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, it's a vote. Good evening, sir.
Commission. For the record, Patrick McCarty, McCarty Engineering, here on behalf of NG Realty Trust for the proposed project at 5 St. Mark Street. I apologize, I realized in the parking lot that I grabbed my easel, but not the plan. So, do you happen to have the PDF? Since our last meeting, we did receive comments back from Graves on the peer review that was commissioned by the planning board, and he found our drainage calculations to be in order and our conformance with the stormwater management guidelines to be in order. It was a pleasant letter. Typically they're pages upon pages. This one had 7 comments, 2 of which stated the compliance, and then a typo or 2 on the plan set to be corrected. So it was a very pleasant letter that we received. We've also gone before the Zoning Board of Appeals, and they voted last week to grant us our aquifer special permit with the standard set of conditions. So we're hoping this evening to obtain approval from the commission and then go back to the planning board next week to hopefully close things out with them.
Give us a copy of the materials you got from Graves.
This is the only one I have, but you're welcome to have this one.
You know what, you can make a copy and you can send it to us.
Okay, sure.
Okay? So,
And the planning office has it obviously on file.
right, exactly. So I had an opportunity to go out to the site. It certainly looked very different from the last time I had been out there, because the last time I was there was a building there.
Yes.
And although the area is certainly mostly fenced off, I was able to go onto the parking lot at 1 St. Mark's Place and go onto the property. And I made an observation of the area and the proposed scope of work and where, you plan to put the building and also the parking. And I found, based on my observation, that your plan and what you described conforms with the site conditions. So, again, speaking for myself, and before I ask any other members of the commission to comment, I have no comments or no specific comments regarding your project, and no objection to it either, for that matter. So I don't know if any other members of the commission would like to weigh in on this. If so, please have at it. Well, let me ask you a couple more questions.
Certainly.
When would you propose to begin work?
As soon as possible, with the caveat that obtaining materials for construction is beyond difficult right now. The building itself, I think, would have somewhere in the neighborhood of a 12 to 16 week lead time, just to order it and have it fabricated and delivered to us. But there is a significant amount of work that could occur. Obviously, we have to do a stamp set of plans and affidavits and submit to Caleb's office for a building permit. But then we could go in and do the erosion control, we could remove the old foundation, remove the old pavement, construct the stormwater basins, all that kind of stuff could occur while we were waiting for the building. Even a foundation could be installed and backfilled. Obviously erosion control measures, that kind of stuff. Typically we work right through the winter. You know, you probably saw us battling away at Mazda all through the winter 2 years ago and last year. And we'll be doing the same with Volkswagen, so we'll be here in town.
Would you notify us when the erosion control measures are in place so we can inspect them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, I have no other questions. Any questions? Any questions, Michelle?
No, I do not.
Megan, any questions?
No.
Okay. And is there any comment from the audience on 5 St. Mark's Place, 4th Street? There being none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Bless you.
God bless you. All right, it's a vote. All right, thank you, Mr. McCartney. I think we will probably render a decision this evening.
Okay, any reason for me to stick around?
No.
Last night, Westboro was 11:30 when I left, so appreciate the early evening this morning, this afternoon.
You're welcome, no problem. The next item on our agenda is a 7:15 public hearing, a notice of intent to raise an existing house addition and construct an 8x8 by 18 by 5 addition at 5 Byland Drive in Auburn. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, it's a vote. Is there anyone here on behalf of the property owner? This is for 5 Byland Drive in Auburn. And,
Yes. Glenn Kowalski calling.
all right, good evening, Glenn.
Glenn Kowalski. I'm going to ask for a continuance, not a continuance, but to move later in the hearing if I can. I'm in front of steps right now in the middle of a discussion for 2 hearings.
Glenn,
You could put me off till a while.
well, Glenn, it sounded like, I will say it sounded like you were at a party instead. But having said that, I've had an opportunity to go out to the property. I mean, if your preference is to do this a little bit later, that's fine. Can you tell us when you'd like to do
If the
it?
commission is fine with everything there, it's just a small addition. I just in the middle of the discussion, I have to get back into the room. I'm set with closing it if the commission is. Thank you.
Sure. So when I went out there, I actually met with the property owner. I guess he and his family just recently moved into the house. The reason they want to take down the addition is because there's no foundation under that particular part of the home. He told me that he wants to do it right. The work that's being proposed is certainly far enough from the watershed so that it can, with the installation of erosion control measures, I don't see any possibility of there being any impact on the wetlands or the watershed in that area. So based on my observations and my discussion with the homeowner, I'm satisfied.
Give me time to review what I had sent in. If that was the discussion. I appreciate it again. Thank you very much.
All right. And before Mr. Grabowski leaves us, are there any comments?
Nope.
Megan, any comments?
No.
All right. In that case, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, it's a vote.
Thank you, Commission, very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Grabowski. All right. The next item on our agenda is a 7:20 public hearing, accessible housing for children, elders, and disabled, LLC. A notice of intent to build a single-family home at 16 Perry Place. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, it's a vote. Good evening again, gentlemen. That's all right.
Sign in.
So again, James Tatro from Azimuth Land Design here representing accessible housing for children, elders, and disabled LLC for the site at 16 Perry Place. And as we had 2 clear points of direction from the commission at the last meeting, one of which was that there was some desire to lessen the runoff into Perry Place. And the other more clear was that we wanted to get the driveway, tilt this up towards the commission member. Sheet P1 of the site plans dated 9/9/2021. Again, the second point was to get the westerly arm of the driveway loop out of the 25-foot zone. And we did that as requested. The vertical barrier line was here. 25-foot line here, so that section of the driveway would now be out of the 25-foot buffer zone. In order to pick up the runoff, install a board-centric catch basin, which is sort of a special catch basin, which has the swirl chamber in it to get some solids above and beyond what just the typical catch basin gets. And we would discharge that collected runoff that would otherwise go into the very place turnaround circle at a point just about 7 feet off the wetlands. Now, we submitted a written waiver request for that work being within 25 feet of the wetlands. And our justification for that is that in order to pick up runoff here before it gets into Perry Place, the board-centric catch basin has to have a rim grade of around 497.5. The minimum separation between the rim of the grade and the pipe out that these structures can have is 3 feet. So at 497.5 at the grade, that gives you 494.5 for the pipe leaving that structure. And actually, 25-foot line is really just above the 496 contour. So in order to discharge from that 494.5, you are required, it's unavoidable to discharge into the 25-foot zone. Now, we also propose there, the phrase that different folks have come up with is scour hole, which really should be, I think should be called an anti-scour hole. The idea is you have a excavation here that you fill with gravel and stone in order to dissipate any erosive force of the runoff that will discharge. And you will get some infiltration of that discharge, especially at low flow times. So the changes to the plan were that we moved this arm, the westerly arm, if you will, of the driveway out of the 25-foot zone. But in order to discharge captured runoff from before it gets into Perry Place, we are forced by the elevations of the situation to discharge over here within the 25-foot. We, as I say, submitted the written waiver request, also submitted a check in the amount of $500, which was additionally required for review where the waiver request was made. Right. That really are the, except for actually one of the some very small change, we had a defect in where we showed the 25-foot line, 25-foot buffer zone line over in this area here off of flag A12, and we fixed that, which had been, I think, cited by your member on the Zoom.
Ms. Holmes, I believe. Okay.
What a color in mine.
It says scour hole on it, so you know it's updated, that particular one.
All right.
Leave it at that. I'll try to answer any questions that you may have.
All right. I have no questions. Any questions? Patrick?
Can you just describe the area that you expect to be collected, all the storm water to be collected into the new BMP?
Sure. I would think it would be almost all of the drive because this is a 500 elevation contour, and this right here is 498. So this is actually draining away from the proposed house towards this grass strip, towards this piece of driveway. Water over here.
What are you saying? All right. Let him finish his presentation, then you can come up and look at it, okay? He has the floor. Go ahead.
So the answer is it should pick up all of this driveway above the very first few feet off of Perry Place,
Thank you. That's fine.
So, I was just saying to the committee member, this is a proposed 500 elevation contour, and this is proposed contour is 498. All of this area here from the building forward is drained towards this grass strip and into the driveway and to that exit. And all of this part of the driveway is drained down into that exit. So really you can pick up all of this driveway, all of this grass strip, and the area in front of the both house.
So that's all going to be part of the house?
What is going to be above the house?
Well, excuse me, any questions should come through me.
Sorry.
All right. So the question is, you want to know where the drainage is going?
Where the discharge, okay, sorry.
No, go ahead. Sure.
The circle here is proposed water tank evacuation, which is sort of a special evacuation, and that will discharge through the HDPE pipe over here. Still on this property, it's going to be within 25 feet and water will come. This elevation here is 497.5. The evacuation is using the proposed, you can get a pipe to the debris elevation 3 feet down. The 497.5, you get 3 feet down, you come out 404.5, and the 25-foot line actually just above elevation 496. So it's impossible to pick up all the runoff and not discharge it to point somewhere within the 25-foot line. What we propose to do is to have a little full area around that.
Sure.
Vertical area around that point, and where that discharges, we show detail on one of the detail sheets of what is commonly termed a scour hole, that should actually be sort of anti-scour hole. What you do is you have an excavation, you have some gravel, you have large stone, and these pipe discharges into that. And with the large stone, it won't get pushed out. You'll get some resistance to the erosive force of whatever's discharged. And with the gravel underneath, you'll get some infiltration of that runoff, especially in very small rains. In a very big rain, the great mass of whatever's collected gets discharged and will roll on out eventually into the wetlands. In small storms, you probably get a good bit of it being infiltrated. So, but this is still on this property, and this would immediately flow into the, emphasize the board first, this would immediately flow into the wetlands and eventually to the culverts and to Perry Place. But again, what's discharged here goes through the scour hole, would eventually flow to the wetlands and would join that wetland flow and go into the culvert that goes into Perry Place now. But that runoff would not go into the cul-de-sac first.
Sure.
A couple other questions. First of all, let me just say, we're not opposed to this. We just want to make sure it's going to be environmentally safe for us in the neighborhood. What do you plan on doing with snow? What is the snow going to be piled and moved through? Because according to that, it looks like they took away the 2 parking spots on the northeast corner of the map. The way you have the driveway, you had 2 parking spots in the northeast corner of the map.
Just through the chair first.
Sure, please.
The commission first. Before we showed 4 spaces here and 2 here, and we're still showing 4 spaces here, basically off the front of the proposed house and 2 spaces to the side. And just, sure. The way I've colored this is to try and show the proposed paved area in gray. We showed 4 spaces here before, they're still there. We showed 2 spaces off here and
I thought the last meeting were on the northwest corner. Northeast, I'm sorry, my apologies, northeast corner. There was, may I approach?
You may approach.
Right here, if I'm not mistaken, there was 2 spots here, 4 here, now what's this?
The plan hasn't changed.
Now, sir, it's, what he's pointing out, just for the other commission members.
Sure.
He's wondering where these spaces before, and that was just a,
Okay, I thought when we originally looked at this, there was the 2 spots there.
it looks just like it. It's similar size.
My apologies. And again, snow. Because you're gonna be using a lot of, salt, a lot of calcium chloride.
So we have a special condition that indicates that there will be no depositing of snow within 100 feet of the wetlands. So the snow, I will assure you that once we close the public hearing, and assuming we issue no conditions, it is highly likely that we would issue a condition prohibiting snow being stored or stockpiled within 100 feet of the wetlands for precisely that reason, because we don't want calcium chloride, we don't want any contaminants getting into the wetlands. Hopefully that answers your question.
And through the, I would say that would strongly suggest to us that any push off, I would stop, I would get outside and we'll hook up on. Just quickly for the audience, what the suggestions are, only goes outside of the buffer zone. You say that the plow, probably easily fit the natural thing that a plow driver would want to do, which would be to, come in and run up and go around this loop and run up. And so it's nice that it'll fit his natural predilections, and we won't be asking him to do something that he feels would be unusual or awkward.
Any questions?
No, but, again, we've done unofficial tests. I guess,
Please.
I'm going to reach these through the chairperson.
Okay.
Turn back. We've done unofficial tests, and this was terrific soil. We will propose a septic system outside of the buffer zone if we cannot arrive at a arrangement to have a connection to the sewer. If we were to have to propose any work within the buffer zone, we would have to return to the commission.
Clearly.
Now, where would that be? My, well, is 50 feet from that property.
Well, first of all, if it's outside of our jurisdiction, then that's a matter you'll have to take up. He'll answer it.
This is almost exactly this past one that we're going here, which is outside of the buffer zone, almost exactly what we're being involved. We could do a center almost on that, but the sheet that separation required in the buffer.
Is it that where you're pointing through the chair? Is that where you're pointing the other property? Or is this the same plot? Because there is 2 separate plots there.
Through the chair.
Sure, please.
There are two different assessor parcels, but this whole area here is still on the same one as the proposed house. There's but the assessor list is a 1.7 acre parcel, and I forget where the exact dividing line is, and a further to the north, a 5.7 acre parcel. Now, our surveyor would actually say that the assessor is a little off, and he undershot the actual area, but this is on the same parcel as the house.
Understood. Last question.
Is that towards the overflow of the swamp though?
I think,
Is that going to be 100 feet from the overflow of the swamp?
please answer.
Just quickly.
Isn't that upland?
Yes, it is, and it's very clearly upland, and the bigger point is that the FEMA maps said that right about where I've got the pen, which is how we peg this 100-year flood line. The very thick line here is FEMA's 100-year flood line. And we pegged it at getting behind us right at the 494 contour elevation, because FEMA says in its calculations that the elevation of the 100-year flood, right where I've got the pen and a line running, again, roughly north-south, is elevation 494. And this elevation on the ground right now is 498. So it's actually 4 feet higher than what FEMA says is the 100-year flood. And just quickly, where I've got the pen, on the FEMA flood map for this area, they actually have calculated elevations at different spots. And where it's 494 directly south of the building, where I'm showing the pen, and this up here is actually 498. actually quite a bit higher than what FEMA says is the 100-year flood limit.
What overflows right to the east of that building. Yes.
Go ahead.
FEMA, again, this line here is very thick, small dash, large dash line is the FEMA 100-year flood line. FEMA does say that it overflows this way because according to here, and actually here is going for the water, according to these calculations, they have going for, is going to go back this way. But it, according to FEMA's calculations, doesn't get up to all the going to the
Correct. Through the chair, if you remember, I pointed out on the plot how it goes over the bank and there was large chunks of concrete in there. That's the overflow for the storm.
Okay.
That's what I'm asking, and I don't believe he's understanding what I'm saying or what, but that is the overflow for the swamp. So when you're saying there, if that rolls down and rolls into the swamp, then
Well, I think they're talking about a septic system, so I don't see it rolling into anything. And also, my understanding is that the septic system is going to be an alternate if they cannot find a way to tie into the sewer system or the sewer line on Perry Street. Am I right?
we have talked about a coach on that, Mr. Chair.
And again, that is not the subject for tonight's hearing.
Correct.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Please, go ahead, Megan.
Yeah, so the gravel pile that's at the driveway is on your property, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And those are the millings that I understand the town provided to maintain the road. I've noticed that some of those have been obviously washing into the wetlands. Is there is there a plan to contain those so that they're no longer? I understand that they're being used by the community to maintain the road, and I don't know how you all are going to work that out, but I just am concerned about them washing into the wetlands is all.
Chair, I think we would certainly agree to a condition that the applicant should additionally install silt fence on the downhill side of that to capture, to still allow runoff to get through, but capture any pieces that are washing in a more significant storm.
So I actually have a question for the abutters. Do you want that gravel pile to remain in place?
Pound up that day.
Okay.
We pound up that day so we can retain the runoff.
So is that a yes?
That's something we can remove it.
Well, no, but my question is, do you want to keep it there in order to repair the road?
Well, we need someplace to put it.
Right, but there's a better way to contain it than just having a mound, right?
Well,
I'm just asking.
no, I understand what you're saying.
I'm just going to tell you, I live on a private road, and we don't have that shavings pile, but they do once a year bring, and I feel your pain, because there was an eminent domain. By eminent domain, the town took part of our road and put in water and sewer, and ours was paved. After they did that, neighbors across the street put in a fence that actually closed off a waterway. It was a runoff between the two roads. And potholes grew, and now docks land in the middle of the road because they think it's a pond during big rainstorms. So I understand what you're going through. The town does come once a year, and they put down
That's right.
they put down that tar, whatever it is, and they kind of, aggregate or whatever, for us, and kind of pack it down and make it a little bit better. So what I think Mike is trying to say is, if that pile is in a place that is close to the wetland, maybe we can talk to the town and see about them removing it so that, and fixing it once a year like they do on our road.
Yeah, you see what it looks like, and they fixed
I know.
that in the spring.
I know.
I'm sorry, you weren't there for the tour. They do that once a year, and that milling pile is there for Mr. Dash to it, all the way up to our street. We started end of Perry Street and Pearl Street, and we come all the way back down. The town only does it once a year, and if they come down there with a loader or a backhoe, they demolish it, they rip it. Right now, there's some spots of that, and millings is this deep, so when the rain washes it out, you get potholes this deep.
And that's concerning for the wetland too. I mean, that's concerning for all.
Absolutely, this is,
And I-
one of our concerns.
Right. We understand. I think you've expressed it very well.
I mean, I submitted pictures last time of the ducks in the neighbor's yard.
So anyway, any other questions? All right. There being none, is there a motion to close?
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, it's a vote. All right, thank you, gentlemen, for coming in. Thank you for your comments and your interest. We really do appreciate it. And we will be rendering a decision, hopefully tonight. The next item on our agenda is a 7:25 public hearing. Jeffrey Jazz, a notice of intent for an addition of 5 Willis Street. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. Mr. and Mrs. Jazz, good evening. So you have revised or submitted a revised plan to us, correct?
Also revised MLA
Through the chair, we
Yes,
just
sir.
have the applicant come up to the table so the people
Yeah,
at home
please.
can hear. Thank you.
Okay. And so none of the work that is being proposed is within the 25-foot no-build zone, correct?
Well, actually, if you look at the plan, the site plan, the revised plan, there is one corner of the building that's 28 inches into the 25-foot no-build zone.
So you would then therefore need a variance, wouldn't you? Because under our bylaws and regulations, we have a 25-foot no-build zone, and in order you need to request a waiver from that provision of the plan. And what we require is that, and I'll read you exactly what the requirement is. In order to grant a waiver of the 25-foot no-build zone requirement, you would need to show that there is no practicable alternative to the proposed action, that any alteration of the resource area will be minimized to the greatest extent practicable, and that to the extent that compensatory or mitigation measures are taken, they are taken to protect the public interest, the resource areas that are altered. Now, I will submit to you that 20 inches doesn't seem like a lot, but it is 2 feet, which means it's,
28 inches.
I'm sorry, 20 inches, right, so, well, 2 feet, which means it would bring it within 23
Yeah, it
feet.
says it right in the plans.
Right, I understand that, sir. So my question is, explain to me why this project cannot be developed outside of the 25-foot no-build zone.
Well, if I shrink it up anymore, I won't be able to get my car in the garage, and then it won't be worth my while to build the addition if I can't use the garage.
So, Mr. Jazz, I just have a question for you. This is certainly, it's not a comment, sir, on you or the application. Normally, when someone appears before us, they have their engineer or their consultant appear and make the presentation. You've chosen to do this yourself. Can I ask you why?
Well, it was basically a question of money.
Okay.
I am in touch with Waterman consistently after every meeting, and they have done 2 designs, and we've discussed everything that we could in terms of, I did shrink the garage from a 2-car to a 1-car. I eliminated what I wanted to put, it was an apartment up above that, so then now that's gone. And I've also, due to the shrinkage to try to meet the no-build requirement zone, I will end up reducing what I wanted to do as an immediate addition of a laundry room and a bath, it's just strictly a bath. So I've shrunk it up as far as I possibly can to make it worth sinking the money into building this addition with the garage.
So I guess my question is, we've been to the property. What prevents you from putting or siting the garage farther back on the property? So that, and just hear me out, so that instead of attaching it to the home, or at least attaching it to the home in the manner that you've shown on the revised plan, you move everything more towards the back of the house. That way, the driveway is certainly more than 25 feet away from the drainage channel. Was that something that you considered?
This is, when I went to Waterman, and I explained everything that we had discussed, this is what they came up with. And I spoke to them about, I said, well, it's still in the 25-foot no-build zone. So what was suggested was that, and I don't know if this is of any value, but I would be willing, or would put added vegetation down here in the buffer zone area, half a dozen plants to help absorb any type of runoff or anything of that nature. So after my discussion with my engineer, he felt that I should present this in this manner to you, and maybe take it from there.
All right. So are you telling me that at this point you wouldn't like to have the public hearing closed? What will happen is that you came before us before, we told you our concerns, you went back to Waterman, you came up with a revised plan, and all I'm asking is that, are you content with what you've submitted for us to then make a decision based on what you've submitted?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any comments from the board? Megan, any comments?
No.
Okay. All right. That being said, is there a motion then to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second?
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, let's vote. All right, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Jazz. We will hopefully render a decision this evening. Well, our assistant is out, I think, until Monday. That's Ginger. So you'll hear fairly soon.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And finally, next matter on our agenda is a 7:30 public hearing. A notice of intent to construct a warehouse distribution facility at 190 Washington Street in Lot 3. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, let's vote. And I see Mr. O'Connell is joining us via video. So good evening, sir.
Good evening to you all. Thank you for having me, and my apologies for the remote participation.
Well, that's all right. So we actually received comments from Jeffrey Walsh at Graves Engineering regarding the revised plan. And you're familiar with the comments that have been previously made and our concerns about the wetlands adjacent to Lot 3 and whether the way the plan was proposed would result in the dewatering of that wetland. I don't know if you've seen a copy of Mr. Walsh's letter, Mr. O'Connell. I saw it this afternoon, and it's dated today, so you may not have seen it.
I did see it, Mr. Chairman, and I took part in a lot of the work that went into the revision of the plan. I performed some soil testing with Jeff Walsh that ultimately led to the revision, and then Jeff's letter today, so I am completely up to speed, but thank you for considering that I wasn't.
Okay. So I have no questions. I think we've thoroughly vetted this question and issue. I'm pleased that changes were made in response to our questions and concerns, and I have no other questions on this. Does anyone have any comments or questions?
I just have one comment, this one page that was added. I really like how they showed the grading on the bottom of this. I know there was some questions at the last meeting regarding like the detail of what the elevations were and how it was going to slope down, and seeing this on the bottom, on this graphic scale here, really, you can kind of see it much easier now.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a question. So I do have the map that shows the cross section. That was provided by Graves, is that correct?
No, it was provided by, who was it provided by? No, that was provided by, I think, Mr. Fabry, wasn't it? It's not identified, but Mr. Fabry was in our last meeting, and he was asked to provide us with really a detail of that area, and I believe this is his work. Mr. O'Connor,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I had, sorry, I'm looking through everything now. I wanted to make sure that I had everything, because I didn't see any new documentation except that map.
okay, well, the map that we're talking about was received by the town on September 9th. There's a stamp on it, and so if you have that map, it'll be stamped in the upper right-hand corner. Do you have it?
I do have the map, but the letter, I didn't have, I don't know what this is.
The letter I'm referring to actually just came in today, and it's dated September 22nd of 21. We can certainly make it available to you. I'll just read the pertinent sections to you. This is from Jeffrey Walsh, Principal of Graves Engineering, and these are his comments. Based upon observations during our site visit, we opine that the wetland's primary source of water is likely groundwater seepage conveyed through the confined sand layer upgradient of the wetland. On the revised site plans, the corner, the pavement, and associated limits of the earth cut upgradient of the wetland between flags WF 220 and WF 221 were shifted approximately 40 feet to the northeast, thereby reducing and nearly eliminating the earth cut upgradient of this portion of the wetland. GEI, which is Graves Engineering Inc., finds this revision to be a reasonable solution. So, based on Mr. Walsh's analysis and review, he feels that the changes that were made by the applicant, I think, addressed our concerns of potential dewatering of the wetland.
Okay.
Okay, are we good?
I think so. He doesn't, so just to be very blunt about it, it's not stated explicitly that he does not anticipate dewatering of the wetlands, or is that just a read between the lines type thing there?
He's indicated that the primary source of water is groundwater seepage.
Okay.
Okay.
So, does that not mean that creating this, because I guess the one thing that I can't see on the map that you have up is where the existing, so like from the, I guess like the 75-foot mark, I guess that's the 75-foot mark on the cross section, like where the slope, the proposed slope starts to cut down is like what the existing slope is, and I guess not without being more hydrologically educated than I guess I should be about seepage and how changes in slope affect seepage. I guess I can't necessarily I can't make the inference that changing that slope, like what is the degree to which that slope is being changed relative to the existing conditions, and how could that affect the wetlands? I get that it's being fed by seepage, but I'm still not able to connect all the dots in my head.
Well, I think the seepage is actually, and I'm not sure, to be honest with you, what the direction is on this. I don't know if it's running, as I look at this detail, I don't know if up is north. I think it is.
Yeah.
It's actually, I don't know if it does, I'm not sure it helps me.
Would C61 help that?
All right.
That's your orientation. Yeah, it's just northwest.
So, all right, so apparently the orientation of this this detail is northwest. I believe it is Graves' opinion that the wetland that is shown in the area of, and you can see the flags WF 221, WF 218, 219, and 220, that is actually being fed by groundwater seepage that is to the southeast. So it's really, it's being fed by groundwater that is separate and apart from where the cut is being proposed for the project. That's, Mr. O'Connell, am I correct in my assessment?
Yes, you are, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for letting me speak. So the cross-section that we're looking at on the screen was not intended necessarily to show where the cut that we're talking about is located. So the cross-section was at a request, I believe, of one of the commission members. We provided the cross-section in the location that runs through wetland flag 220. But the revision that was made to address the concern about draining or not providing hydrology to the wetland is actually between flag 220 and 221. So it's slightly different issues. The cross-section was provided at a request, but the revision to the plan was made at a separate request, and as a result of the concern about the groundwater. So on the plan view of the plan we're looking at, you can see the existing contours are light gray. So those slope consistently up the hill from that wetland edge between flag 221 and 220. So by rotating and eliminating some of the pavement in that corner, that area that will be excavated below the existing elevation. When you look at the plan, the area that was draining down towards the wetland will virtually miss flag 220. If you follow the proposed contours up, what Jeff Walsh is saying is that the drainage area that goes to the wetland now, in current conditions, will remain essentially the drainage area that's going to be there after construction, because we rotated the work, we swung it around away from the wetland, and we lost some pavement and moved everything out of the 25-foot buffer. So look at the cross-section and talk about that issue wouldn't be appropriate, but I hope that provides clarification.
I understand. I think, Megan, again, another way maybe to look at it is that the edge of the wetland is more than 25 feet away from where the slope begins. So, and again, based on Mr. Walsh's letter, I'm confident that that wetland area will not be dewarded as a result of the proposed changes to the contours at the property.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So, are there any other questions? I see that we have a caller, the mysterious caller 3. Who's that? They choose to remain silent. So, in any event, if there are no other questions, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, it's a vote. Mr. O'Connell, thank you very much. And with any luck, we will render a decision this evening.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
Good night. All righty. Okay. It's up to you. Okay. So they're in September. We have to render decisions within 21 days. Unfortunately, the next meeting, which will be October 13th, is the 21st day. My preference, and I appreciate your patience throughout the meeting, we did do a lot, or covered a lot of ground tonight, but if we can, hopefully we can knock off these orders of condition pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You know, so, and why don't we just take them in order? So, for 5 St. Mark's Street in Auburn, is there a motion?
Before I make a motion, I ask
Yes.
all the members to take out a page, because I don't want to be the only person making 5 orders of conditions. This is a board, and I just don't mind doing it, but I think we all should take part in it.
Works for me. Okay, so having said that, will someone make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 5 St. Mark's Street?
I make a motion that we issue a standard order of conditions for 5 St. Mark Street plus the following special conditions. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 5, 8, 9, 11, and 13.
All right. The motion is a standing order plus the following special conditions, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11, and 13. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
All right, it's a vote.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, for 5 Byland Drive in Auburn, is there a motion?
Make a motion to issue order conditions for 5 Byland.
Are there any special conditions you wish to add?
Issue the standard order conditions plus the following special conditions. 1, 2, 3, 5.
Yep.
8, 9, 11, 13.
There is no detention or anything shown. But that's good, you did good. All right, so the motion is a standing order plus the following special conditions, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, and 11. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. Okay, for 16 Perry Place in Auburn, is there a motion?
Before we make a motion through the chair, we have to, do we need to take a vote on whether to approve a contract for variance for the 25-foot no-build zone? Or we just vote on the
So we can, we can certainly have discussion on that. The question is whether the applicant has, in submitting their analysis and having revised the plan has, is basically satisfies the conditions necessary to obtain a waiver to our 25-foot no-build zone. I actually believe they do. I think that the catch basin that is within the 25-foot no-build zone is actually an erosion, it's a mitigation measure. I think it's something that, we can certainly have them, or we can require them to maintain it on a semi-annual basis. And so, and I think actually, it actually benefits the wetlands. So for those reasons, I think it's, a waiver would be granted. But again, that's just my opinion.
I agree, and he also did move the driveway out of it. He did put that curve, which is what we asked him to do.
Right.
So I concur with you.
All right. Any other comments? Megan, any comments?
No.
No. Okay. Fantastic. So having said that, is there a motion then to issue an order of conditions for 16 Curry Place?
Make a motion that we issue a standard order plus the following special conditions. One, two, three, 5. Well, number 7, it's not so much riprap, but that structure they're gonna make, I guess, so would that be considered the same thing?
As far as,
I think there's a way to address it, but I wouldn't put it as part of 7. 7 is
Okay.
specific.
Let's go from after 5, let's go to 8. Number 9, snow, 11. Here we go, stormwater management structures, number 13. I think that would cover the,
I would also add number 12. Not that I expect him to, but again, we want to be mindful of the impact. And the only amendment I would make for, and we also have to do 14, but I think for 13, it should be amended so that indicates that they will be maintained semi-annually. And we should also add a provision that the applicant will provide us with reports concerning their maintenance activities. Okay, Patrick?
For number 14, because we did accept work that is within the 25-foot buffer zone and have accepted it, I feel as though it does benefit the wetland, but it still would apply, I think, in this, that they offered us an alternative plan and that we've accepted it.
Right, exactly. I don't think we have to say that, and I mean, I think it's self-evident from what they've done. All right, so the motion is for standing order plus the following special conditions: 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Is there a second?
A second?
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. The next item is for, all right, and this is Jeffrey Jazz, and again, you raised the same question. Do we feel that the revised plan shows an intrusion of about 2 feet, or as he said, 28 inches within the 25-foot no-build zone? The applicant has offered mitigation in the form of, I guess, additional wetland plants. I'm disappointed that there wasn't a formal presentation of this plan. I am mindful of the fact that consultants cost money, but I also recognize that consultants can clear up any questions that we may have with respect to what the applicant has submitted. So the question really, it's really a value judgment at this point. We have to decide is there a viable alternative to what has been submitted? And I think we can debate that. The question is, has the applicant in submitting the revised plan and offering some sort of mitigation, which we also have to figure out what we want, is it enough to justify a waiver of the 25-foot no-build zone? Michelle?
I would say no.
Okay, all right. Okay.
okay. I would say no, and also, I don't know why the applicant did consider this moving, like you said, Michael, at the hearing, moving it back.
To be honest with you, before I saw the revised plan, that was my expectation, that there's certainly enough room on the property. Now, granted, in terms of their vision of what they want to do with their house and how they want to meld the addition to the house, it doesn't meet what they wanted to do. So I really don't, to be honest with you, I don't understand why. What they did is that they substantially reduced the scope of the project, but they didn't take it out of the 25-foot no-build zone, and I find that to be perplexing, to be honest with you. So if we feel that they haven't satisfied the criteria for the waiver, then how can we approve an order of conditions for them? I think we can't, correct?
Would it be reasonable to request that they submit another plan where, like you said, there's a possibility of it being behind the house instead of next to it?
The problem though, and that's why I asked Mr. Jazz specifically if he wanted to close the public hearing. I think I said, and I thought it was a straightforward question. Do you want us to consider what you've submitted, and do you want us to close the public hearing
I don't
tonight?
think he
I agree.
Well, and
Totally
all right.
understood.
Unfortunately, though, we really can't, we can offer alternatives, but we really
It's
can't
not, you know what?
determine what his alternative is.
It is not our job, it is not our job, and especially when Ann Weston was chairman, the mantra was, we do not offer advisory opinions. And I think that is the correct approach, I really do. That's why,
I agree with you.
so
I'm sorry, you said you don't offer what?
advisory opinions. In other words, if there's something, if an applicant submits a project to us and we think there are problems with it, it's not up to us to tell the applicant what's wrong with it and how they can fix it. That's not our job. Our job is to submit, we can be helpful, but at this phase where there have been, I think for this application, there have been 3 public hearings, and where we made our concerns known to the applicant before tonight. It's not our job to tell them how to fix it. The other thing, again, this is again puzzling to me. He had, or the Jazzes did have a consultant. They had Waterman Engineering, very respectable firm. This is their stock and trade. This is what they do. So it's unfortunate that they did not appear tonight. So I think there's an alternative. We do have 21 days, okay, to make a decision. Granted, I don't really know how to proceed on this, because if we issue a negative order of determination, they're pretty much back to square one. But Patrick, you don't think he understood that by closing the public hearing, they were not, I cannot put myself in the mind of the applicant. All right. I thought my question was pretty clear.
You presented a very fair assessment of the situation and even offered an alternative. But I don't believe he understood fully that we are only able to judge exactly what's in front of us, and by closing it, he is not able to continue. He's unable to provide us with any further information. We just have to judge on exactly what we had, and you even listed your concerns before he cut himself off.
All right, so based on that, I think, again, he agreed to close the public hearing. It's the consensus of this board, and I actually agree that they have not satisfied the requirements for a waiver. And so I think the only thing we can do is to issue a negative order of conditions. So having said, yeah, go ahead, Megan.
Question for future reference in situations where we think that, where we suspect that an applicant may or may not be aware of, for instance, complete. Is it appropriate to to advise, not advise, but
We can't,
make them aware of the fact that the next step, if that the next vote they'll have to go back to square one if it's not passed.
Through the chair, if I may.
Please.
Ginger multiple times advised the applicant to seek professional guidance and tried to push them to have their representative represent them at the hearings, and they chose not to do that.
all right. I think, again, I have to presume that the applicant knew when they were asked if they wanted to close a public hearing and they wanted us to make a decision based on what they submitted, that they understood what they were doing, they were satisfied with what they submitted. So, and I think, again, between Ms. Buto and on our board, we made our concerns, I think, very, very clear at prior meetings. So, having said that, and having really given this, I think, a pretty thorough discussion, is there a motion for what is it? For 5 Willis Street.
Make a motion to make a negative determination for 5 Willis Street.
Yes. Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so that's a vote. And the reason will be that the applicant did not satisfy the criteria to qualify for the waiver of the 25-foot no-build zone. And then finally, the 730, which is 190 Washington Street, Lot 3, is there a motion?
Make a motion to issue order conditions for the warehouse distribution facility at 190 Washington Street, Lot 3. Using our standard order conditions, as well as the following special conditions. 1, 2, 3. Are they doing any replication? All right. 5. 8, 9, 11, 13.
Yeah, and they've taken the scope of work outside of the 25. So it's a motion issue a standing order plus special conditions 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11, and 13. Is there a second?
Second that?
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. And unless someone has a strong objection, I would but I would suggest that we defer. Actually, it's not even on the agenda. So there are meeting minutes that we will pick up at our next meeting. I don't think our agenda is going to be as jam-packed in October or the first October meeting as it was tonight. And having said that, there was a request for a certificate of compliance for, I think it was 33 Sword Street, which is the web company facility. I think that's something we can also defer until our next meeting. We've got plenty of time to go out there and take a look. So having said that, is there any new business? There being none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Eager to leave, I get it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's a vote. All right, everyone, thank you very much.